that's what's so cool about it is we've been once we accepted Jesus in our heart, we've been gifted these things.
Yeah.
And I know like self-control isn't necessarily like the sexiest fruit of the spirit, but it's definitely one of them. Like I just think of like, ooh, love, like, oh yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
patience, peace, kindness, goodness. Oh, those are so nice. It's like,
yep,
oh hey, self-control. That's like the
yeah.
nah
But
crap.
you
All
can't
right.
you can't have you can't have any of those other fruit without that one.
Exactly.
What's up, everybody? It's Zoom Talk, and I've got Austin with me. Austin, you're always on Zoom Talk. We have the best discussions about this week's message. So, you know how we do it, man. What about this week's message was most impactful for you? Oh, by the way, say hi to everybody.
Oh, by the way, everybody, first and foremost, hi, welcome to our video. What was most impactful? I'm going to say the part where we talk about taking hold. And so without spilling too much to where we don't have a super short video where I say it all at the beginning,
Yeah.
it's just essentially reminding ourselves that, we are going to do everything that we can. Like as Austin, I want myself to do every single step possible that I can do. Like
Yeah.
nobody's helping me. I'm
Yep.
going to
Yes.
go the extra mile. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to put in the time. I'm going to
Yep.
do everything that I physically can to move things forward. But then, I'm going to pray like I can't do absolutely anything. So I'm
That's
going
right.
to believe that He is going to always provide for me. I'm going to believe in the things that are ahead of me, the things that I don't know I'm going to come across. And I think when those two things meet in the middle,
Okay.
we're gonna be able to really see the passion, the things we're passionate about in our life, progress, take steps forward. But yeah.
Absolutely, man. Listen, you're talking about taking hold, and that was the theme of this week's message. We got to take hold, right? We talked about taking hold of our thoughts, right? Taking hold of our time. Just we are too subject to letting life just happen to us, and we're all called to something, man. We're all called to something. We all matter. We all have a purpose, and there's a plan for us, and we got to take hold of it. And like you said, pray like you can't do it on your own, because we can't. We absolutely can't do it on our own. But also work like nobody's going to help you, which
Right.
means you're not going to sit around waiting on some handout or waiting on some. Not listen. Not that handouts are a bad thing, but some people are just waiting for someone to do something for them. When they're fully capable of doing things on their own. Now, let me say that again. I know some people need us to help. Hey, that's why we're here. That's why the church is
Yeah.
here. And we're going to help those people. And we're going to do it out of the love and the compassion. But what I'm talking about is yourself and me, where sometimes we just sit around waiting for God to do something in our life, or waiting for some opportunity to open up, like we're waiting for a ride somewhere, man. When
Right.
we
Right.
have this car right here, just get in and go.
Yeah.
And that's taking hold, man. I know for you, I'm turning 40 next week, right? And you're a little younger than me. But I've also seen you over the last several years, man, take hold of some things, and I can tell it's important to you that you follow that purpose, live with purpose, and follow that calling. Man, what could you share with everyone who's watching Zoom Talk right now about taking hold of those things that are in front of you, even if it's not exactly what you want right now? Like, listen, we all have these big dreams, right? We're
Yeah.
all living the destiny, right? But
Right.
how do we take hold of what is in front of us right now?
So I like how you said that because I struggled for such a long time, and I even still like on to this day I still struggle with
Yeah,
this thought right here
yeah,
is I know that I'm not where I'm going to be, and I know that there's going to be more for me in my life, but there are things that right now I have to grab a hold of
yeah.
and grow.
That's
There's
right.
things in my life that I have to take hold of right now.
Yeah,
So it's very important. And we talk about all the time. It is so important to cast vision for your life. It is so important to try to think ahead and plan ahead and pray for the future. But a lot of times we miss out on the things that are going
man.
to develop into the thing by focusing on that thing that's way too far out. So instead of taking our current time, our current thoughts, and capturing them and taking hold of them and moving in the things that are in our life. Say it's the current job you're in. Say
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
starting a dinner party,
Yeah.
whatever it is, whatever capacity it is for you, making sure that we're not so focused on ahead that we're missing out on what God wants to do with us right now. And I think that's what I was trying to say at the beginning when I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm going to work as hard as I can every day and pray for the things that are unknown. I'm going to pray for the things that aren't here yet because obviously God has gifted me where I'm at in my life right now. And so it would not be wise of me to let things slide by and slide under the table and miss out on personal growth, on spiritual growth, on physical growth, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Because I'm not thinking I'm too busy focusing on what's ahead. And I think that my generation specifically, you talk about being 40, I'm 25, has so much anxiety built
Yeah.
around the fact that we were supposed to do things a certain way,
Yeah.
or we're supposed to go and the things aren't panning out the way that our parents thought they would,
Yeah.
or because I mean, like everybody knows the millennial quotes are nonstop about how we're just different. We're just
Yeah.
different. And so I think a lot of it is we look too far ahead and we get worried on the things that are out of touch
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
And we're expecting us to just fall into something. No, we got to take hold of our lives here and now and pursue the things we're passionate about. Pray about the things we're passionate about, and just step into that. Does that make sense?
It does, man. It makes complete sense. And we it's about doing what's in front of you, right? And doing it with everything you've got. We've all heard that saying, we just need to take time to stop and smell the roses. People say that because we live too much in the future. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a visionary. I like to see what's out there, and that motivates me and drives me forward. But Jesus also told us, let tomorrow worry about itself.
Yeah.
It has enough worries of its own. Now that's me paraphrasing, but Jesus said, tomorrow is going to have its own troubles. So worry about that then. He's trying to draw our attention to today. That's all we have. All we have is right here, right now, today. God forbid, we may not make it past this day. It's up to Him. It's up to God's plan for our life, and we don't know if we're going to even make it through the night. I know that sounds pretty bleak and it's kind of depressing, but it's true. It's true. All we have is right here, right now, today. So even while we're on this Zoom talk right now, this is all you and I have. And why should this thing right here be the most important thing to us right now in this moment? Why
Yeah.
shouldn't we put all of our heart into this discussion? And wherever you're at next, right? When you're back in the office or I'm at the office, why shouldn't that be the most important thing? And does that make it more important than my family who is somewhere at school and Missy's off doing her thing and this person's over here doing no? But we're just gonna live in the moment and we're gonna make the most of it because those moments pass us by so
Yeah.
quickly. Man, I told you I'm turning 40. I'm turning 40 next week. And I still feel like I'm a 17-year-old kid. And it's because I must have let so many things slip by. And I look back at pictures and I see like, oh man, I forgot about that. I forgot about that. I just want to take hold, man. I want to take hold of this moment right here and live in it. And do I have plans? Yeah, I've got big plans. Do I have dreams? Absolutely. Do I want to be in those dreams? Yes. Am I there yet? No. But I won't get there until I have this right here taken care of. So,
Right.
man, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm going to pray like I need God's help to do it all, and I'm going to work like it's all up to me. And somewhere in the middle, I find this place of faith and trust. But I've got to take hold. I've got
So
to take hold.
it maybe when I say it, it obviously sounds a lot easier than it probably is. But what if we lived our lives as um as moments, right? So like,
Yeah,
what if as something comes to me, I realize like this is my purpose, this is my passion. I'm gonna attack this situation with all the things that I've learned up to the point and all the things that I know that come for me about my future. So I'm going to live each and every single one of these moments like it's all I got. And so how much I wonder how freeing that is whenever we understand when we can just stop worrying about the future, stop worrying about the things that are unknown, stop worrying about the things we can't control. But every moment, no matter what it is, if it's sweeping the floors, every moment I'm going to attack it like I have
That's
been
right.
built for this.
That's
And
right.
I just think that honestly, like that doesn't even have to be like a spiritual thing. That's just, I feel like that's just really good practical help for human. If we could just, whatever's on our table at that moment, don't get overwhelmed about all the things that are ahead of it. Just attack this one thing with everything that you've learned up to this point. Whether this could be a conversation with a coworker, this could be a conversation with a relative, this can be dealing with a death in the family, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
going to attack this moment with everything inside of me because I was
Yeah.
built for this.
Yeah.
And I think that we forget we were built for this. God purposed this for our lives. He knew you before you were born. He already knew how you were going to end up. You were built for this moment. And I think if we could just realize
Man.
that, gosh, what anxiety, what depression, where
Man.
these are falling off of our lives because we
Man.
realize what's the worry?
Yeah.
Go, you've been given this. It may feel hard, it may feel like you can't handle it,
Yeah.
but you were built for
Yes.
that moment.
Man. Dude, that's so good.
And I think just in this conversation with you, I didn't pre-rehearse that. Just like as I'm speaking it, like I think I'm speaking that into my own life right now. Like
Yeah.
there's some things in my life that I feel unequipped for, or I
Yeah.
feel like I am halfway doing it. I cleaned up that phrase, like I'm halfway doing
Yeah.
it. But if
Yeah,
I
me
would
too.
just attack each of these individual categories in my life, like I was
Yeah.
purpose for it. Like
Man.
God designed me for this, Josh. He designed us for this Zoom talk today.
Yeah, dude. Man, so okay, so here's why people need to watch this week's message, because we talk about some things there that get in the way of this mindset, that get in the way of this attitude. And it's our thoughts, it's our habits, and in our time,
Yeah,
right? And so we're talking a lot about time. Well, man, we're not making the most of our time, and that's what the Apostle Paul wrote. He said, make the most of every opportunity. He said, live as the wise, not as the unwise. Make the most of every opportunity. He said, be careful. That's a warning that you and I should be careful. Not, when you hear someone say, hey, be careful or live carefully, it's like, we're walking softly. And we think, no, we need to be bold. We need to go out there and take, the bull by the horns and just
mhm,
do life. But he said his being careful was like, make sure you do that, and don't, and be careful to get lazy or to let time just slip by, and poor time management isn't always about being lazy. Sometimes poor time management is about being too busy, and too busy about things that aren't going to get you anywhere or don't matter. Sometimes we're too busy about things because we've got like this insecurity in us, and we're worried about what people think, or we're worried about this thing, or we have fear, and here's the thing about fear, man. Fear is falling short of the faith we're to have in him. And Paul says, be careful that you make the most of every opportunity. So it's our thoughts that can come in and take charge. So we got to take charge of our thoughts. Take hold of your thoughts. It says in scripture that we should take every thought captive and make it subject it, but make it submit to Jesus. Like take those thoughts captive. We should be taking, we talked about in this week's message, we need to take hold of our habits. I mean, how many bad habits do we have just taking us off in the wrong direction, wasting our time, causing stress and worry and fret? I mean, come on, like everybody needs right now. If you're watching this, you need to just go ahead and decide that you're not gonna look at your Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or whatever you look at until like 11 o'clock in the morning. If you
unless it's to
did
watch this
that,
video.
yeah, unless you're watching this. But I mean, if you just made that a habit in your life,
Right.
how much more productive would you be in during the day? And I'm convinced that social media just creates anxiety. There's a lot of reasons. Like you could see something about um, pop culture that gets you anxious and worried. You see something about politics. You see a friend that didn't like your thing or your comment, or you weren't invited to an event. Like there's so many ways that social media can cause anxiety in your life. Don't start your day out that way. Like there's so many like habits. Like we need to take hold of our habits, because those are going to get in the way of you and me getting out there and living in this moment and taking charge. And then just taking hold of our time, man. our, our
Yeah. I
our
think,
thoughts, our habits, our time. We got to get in charge of it, man.
yeah. I think, and this obviously this may sound silly, but I'm just trying to put this together. I think healthy. I talk with my hands a lot. I just realized that. I think healthy thoughts,
Hey,
healthy thought.
take
What
hold of your hands.
take hold. Healthy thoughts. Oh, here, let me start with this. I think all these things tie in together. I think
Yeah.
healthy thoughts will help create healthy habits. And when you have healthy habits, you're going to have healthy time management. And so
Yes. Yes.
let's go to this one. Let's start with taking hold of our thoughts, and you mentioned it. Take those thoughts captive. Let them know. Remind who's in control here.
Yeah.
What's going on up there, and who is capable of what's going on up there. Then two, but then that's going to lead to some healthy habits. You're
Yeah.
probably gonna refrain from things that aren't good for you whenever your brain is telling you, whenever you're firing on all cylinders, so to speak. So that like those, I just feel like each of those will lead into one another. They can lead into in a positive way, lead into one another in a positive way, and I feel like very quickly it can go negative. So
Yeah.
it really does all start with those things just building off of one another. So I will definitely say you're right. Like if you find yourself having an unhealthy relationship with social media, what's happening is it's taking captive of your thoughts. We already
Yeah.
told, like, that's not the truth. That's not the gospel. It's not a part of what we're doing here. If something's taking hold of your thoughts that isn't healthy, let's acknowledge it. Let's remove it.
Yeah.
If you realize like, oh, hey, now I have unhealthy thoughts, it's because of social media. Oh, guess what? Thoughts leading into habits. All right, so I need to fix my habits. Every bedtime, right before bed, maybe I need to get rid of that phone and look at something different. Or
Yeah.
right when I wake up, I need to start my day fresh with something healthy,
Yeah.
something good. And so I just think once these things just tie into each other, that's why I feel like people can feel like they're spiraling out of control just because it started with one unhealthy thought, or
That's right. That's right.
it led to one unhealthy habit, which now
Yes.
you have no control over your time.
So listen, man, what we're talking about here is self-control. If we would just have a little bit of self-control, we could take charge of these things. But you know what? Self-control isn't that attractive. It sounds terrible. And some of us
Yeah.
probably have convinced ourselves that we don't have any self-control. Um, so let me remind us, if you're a believer, you are a disciple. And inside that word disciple is the word discipline, right? And we were meant to have discipline. And so it isn't this unreachable high bar that God set, that Jesus set, and like, okay, you've got to aspire to reach, and we can't do it. It requires this great will and strength. No, what he did was is he when we received Jesus, he put some things in us, right?
Yeah.
One of those things uh, self-control, man. It's one of the fruit of the spirit. It's the fruit of the spirit. So
Yeah.
our faith, what has happened, this transformation that's taken place in us is happened because the Spirit of God came into our life, right? We received this gift. And I know sometimes we think we're receiving Jesus on a cross, and yeah, that's part of it, what he did on the cross. But the gift we're receiving, Austin, is this life, and it's his spirit that literally regenerates this
Mhm.
spirit in us. And like that's why we call it born again. You and I have been born again because by grace through faith. We believed that Jesus was his gift and he's got this life force, and that transformation happened. And so when that transformation happened, God planted some things in you. And in that spirit, the Bible talks about this fruit of the spirit, and love, joy, peace, patience goes on. One of those is self-control. And so if someone's watching right now thinking, man, I do need to take charge, I do need to get control of these things, I want you to just know that with Jesus comes self-control. So it's there, it's in there. And it might just be a little seed right now, but you got to water that thing with prayer and reading the word and understanding God's word, and just talking like this, talking about these things with people and other believers in your life, and fellowshipping and going to dinner parties, not just because dinner parties make you holy, but when you're at a dinner party, you let your guard down and you're having fun with people, and you're fellowshipping, and you're sharing, and they're sharing with you, and you build relationships, and then you start to see these seeds that were planted in there when Jesus entered your life become watered, and they take root, and then you start to bear this fruit, and you have that fruit of self-control that makes you this disciple, this disciplined person following this path along with Jesus. and it's not on your own power. It's on the gift that he placed in you, the fruit of the spirit. And so, man, we can all live this way. We can all
Yeah.
have healthy habits, and we can drop the bad habits. We have this advantage to do so, and it's this gift that's been placed in us, this fruit of the spirit called self-control. I've got it, you've got it. We may not be exercising it, but we can.
Right.
We
And
absolutely can.
that's what's so cool about it is we've been, once we, you know, accepted Jesus in our heart, we've been gifted these things.
Yeah.
And I know like self-control isn't necessarily like the sexiest fruit of the spirit, but it's definitely one of them. Like I just think of like, ooh, love, like, oh yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
patience, peace, kindness, goodness. Oh, those are so nice. It's like,
Yep.
oh hey, self-control. That's like the
Yeah. But
crap.
you
All
can't
right.
you can't have any of those other fruit without that one.
Exactly.
You
I
got
was
no
I was just about to
self-control.
say
Yeah.
that. Yep. Without self-control, those things, those other things that I just mentioned, the patience, the peace, those
Yeah.
things aren't as attainable if we're not living our lives with self-control. And so
Right.
that's it goes back to the beginning. I was like, that's what we're praying like we have no control over, because then
Yes.
we're gifted these things, and it makes those that part of our life a little bit easier to deal with when we have something fighting for us. And
You're right.
so it's just, although it's not sexy, it's so beneficial. It's so beneficial.
You're right, dude. Hey, look, man, we could go all day on Zoom talk talking about this stuff, but you know, that's probably we're creating bad habits for people watching this. You know, they need to get off social media.
Yeah,
So
we talked about not maintaining your, you know, getting better time, but we're over here spending 3 hours on Zoom talk.
let's talk all day about self-control. But listen, we'll spend a ton of time on time management. How about that?
There we
Um,
go.
don't, you know, get on Facebook, get on Instagram, get on Twitter, watch the Connect Church stuff, and then let it go.
And
You
then
don't need
hop off.
anything else.
There's
Yeah,
just no need. There's just no need.
you don't need anything else. Hey, man, it's as always, it's been an incredible Zoom talk with you, man. I'd have you on here every time if I could, but you know, we got to give some other folks a chance, right? Let other people have a good time. But thanks, Austin, for being on Zoom talk with me, man. I'll see you soon.
Later.
Bye.